Hello, everybody. I'm Nick Fuller with the iTherapy team. I'm coming to you from my backyard. Normally, I'd be coming to you from my home office, but as you all know, it's coronavirus crazy times. So I've got a 6-year-old in his bedroom kind of doing some schoolwork that's right next to my office. And I figured, you know what, if I'm outside, maybe there'll be fewer distractions. We'll see. I don't know if you can hear the chickens in the neighbor's yard, but you know. With that in mind, also, I may have a little bit of connectivity issues. If I have that, I apologize. But it's these coronavirus crazy times, man. We do what we have to do to kind of make it work. And with that in mind, I'm joined here today by the lovely Carolyn Sabin. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Nick.
So yeah, the reason Carol is joining me today is because she is the wonderful facilitator of our clinical consult peer group here at iTherapy. Now, this is something we've been doing for a little while, about a year now, but we're kind of making some changes coming up soon in May, and we wanted to see what we can do to make the clinical consult peer group a little bit more easy to get involved with, because we feel like now more than ever, it's probably something that can be helpful for some of our therapy providers. So, yeah, let me pull something up really quick. I wanted to, and bear with me, I apologize, but I wanted to kind of provide a little bit more of a introduction to Carol here. So I'm seeing if I can, well, I will do a bit of an introduction as I pull this up. But the first thing I wanted to ask is, how you doing, Carol? How are things?
Well, coronavirus crazy times is a good description for a lot of us right now, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, on the surface, there's not a lot different these days. For me, as a 100% telehealth practice owner, who works by myself, so I don't, right? Like I don't have employees, so I'm concerned about that.
You were already social distancing.
I was already social distancing, right? So on the surface, nothing much has changed, but it still feels weird, right? There's some surrealness, if that's a word, to what we're all dealing with. So I'm doing all right.
Yeah, good. How is you, and I haven't asked you this already, how is your practice? Have you maintained your kind of normal caseload, or has things slowed down for you a bit?
No slowing down. I've opened up a couple of extra spots because there's been enough requests, and I think right now it's always hard for me to say no. And right now it's a little bit harder for me to say no. So I'm actually probably a little higher than I would normally be.
Wow.
Okay with that because has it been a year? I don't think it's been a year. Maybe since the fall, I stopped working on Fridays. I stopped seeing clients on Fridays. So what I have found is that having 4 days of work, 4 days a week of clients, and then 1 day off, and then the weekend to do other kinds of things has helped me to recoup better than I used to be able to recoup. So I'm okay with having a few more clients on those days that I work, especially right now. And I have lost one client to financial issues. She lost her job. She was private pay, couldn't afford to pay. So, but yeah, I'm about 50% private pay and 50% insurance based. And
Wow.
So far the insurance based clients are all keeping their jobs and so keeping their insurance, and the private pay clients aren't in a position where this recession is going to impact their ability to pay for the most part. So far, okay. And I've got 2 client requests that are pending. So
Wow.
I'm doing all right.
Well, that's good. Like I kind of have been checking out different like Facebook groups of therapists and that sort of thing. And it does seem like one of the sort of prevailing feelings is a bit of anxiety about, even if they are kind of in a good position, whether or not, you know, they have some anxiety about their clients being able to, you know, keep seeking treatment and that sort of thing. It sounds like you're kind of just not experiencing that right now, fortunately, huh?
I am not. I mean, I've got some anxiety about like how long is this going to go and where's the future going to take us and all of that. But
Yeah.
Last month was my biggest month ever income wise.
Wow.
And talked with my accountant and my financial planner and decided not to apply for any of those small business association loans and government loans, grants that are available to, just because I'm not seeing any kind of a downturn like
Yeah.
that. You know, I'm on a lot of those therapist groups as well, and I haven't done an analysis, but it seems to me like the people that are having a little bit of a harder time are those people that had to make an abrupt switch to telehealth
Yeah.
and are having to convince ongoing clients to start telehealth. And because I've been telehealth for 3 years almost,
Yeah.
my clients aren't experiencing anything different, right? And the people who contact me are they know that I'm telehealth, that that's not going to change
Yeah.
in the future. So
That's neat. I didn't quite realize that it's been 3 years now, huh? Like,
I think officially it's 3 years in October, so 2.5-ish, somewhere like that. Yeah, right.
yeah, yeah. So can I put you on the
Lives.
spot just a little bit, and can we talk a little bit about kind of your private practice and like how you've just briefly, because prior you worked with a lot of university counseling centers, right?
Yep.
And you kind of didn't really, you thought that private practice wasn't going to be something that could work for you, right?
Nope.
But now you're able to work from home. You work online. I remember early on you talking about how great it is. We'll say to be able to walk the dogs in the middle of the day, right?
Right. Yeah. I just saw her pop up on the screen. So yeah, I work from home. I start at, well, depending on the day, 10 or 11 usually. Couple nights I work until 7. I see, because I work with professionals who are working. So
Mm-hmm.
some folks after 5 o'clock so that I can be available for them when they're available, but make dinner, I
Yeah.
do chores in between appointments. I always give myself space for myself, but
Yeah.
for the right, like to get the dogs out and to be able to write my note and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been, and I think within 12 months had exceeded the income that I was making from my agency work, where I had been almost 30 years, right?
Yeah.
So it was not like I was a brand new agency employee. I'd been doing
Right.
it for a long time and had moved up and made a really good salary there, but I make
More.
much more now than I did there.
So this provides a fantastic segue, though, into kind of the topic of our clinical consult peer group. One of the things that you felt was missing was kind of that, interaction with other professionals, right?
Yeah, that's the hardest part. And some of my closest friends are psychologists. So, right, having an ongoing conversation with them, not so much to talk about clinical cases, right, because we're friends, not colleagues, but to talk about the business and the practice has been helpful. But part of what I have always done as a part of my agency work in university counseling centers was run training programs. And so I was really missing, right, when I did a values check early on about like, what did I really love about my work before? What have I translated into private practice? The big thing was not having other colleagues that I could work with to do consultation, to do supervision, to do training. I do some of that kind of on the side. Counseling center people will call me up and say, can you do a training for my interns or something? So I do some of that, but not having people to talk about cases with, to talk about the struggles that we all have as practice owners has been different. So yeah, I was just bemoaning that to myself when Carol Pulley called and said,
Right.
Carol, what would you think about doing this for us? I was like, it's right. Like if you put it out into the universe, it will come back to you. And that's what it did. So.
Indeed. Yeah, yeah. So about a year ago, iTherapy, we all kind of started having the idea of doing a clinical consult peer group, just something online where clinicians can all talk about their cases and consult with each other and that sort of thing. And Carol Pulley, who a co-founder of iTherapy, she knew you, Carol Sabin, and she thought you would be a fantastic person to facilitate this group for us. So I'm going to read a little bit of what you, Carol Sabin, kind of have written, just by, kind of as way of introduction for you in this capacity. Yeah, Carol Pulley and I, Carol Sabin, worked together when she was finishing her master's level internship experience at an agency where I worked over 12 years ago. So the Pulleys and I go way back. I've been a licensed psychologist since 1995. Prior to opening my full-time all-online practice in 2017 with iTherapy's help, I worked in university counseling centers across the country. In addition to clinical work, I served as part of the leadership team at each agency and had the opportunity to teach graduate courses and provide practicum and internship supervision over the years. I very much enjoy working with other professionals to help them grow and develop their professional and clinical skills. Yeah, so I mean, you know your stuff. You've been doing it for a while. And I have to say, like, all the feedback that we've heard on the clinical consult, because we've been doing this for a year, all of it has been absolutely positive. And I don't know anyone that has anything negative to say about Carolyn Sabin. So it's been really wonderful. Um,
Thanks.
yeah.
I have really enjoyed it. It has been, I mean, I assumed I would enjoy it, right? But you know, it was a new venture and a new way of doing consultation, and I've really enjoyed the opportunity, and I think the members are getting a lot out of it. So that's important to me.
Yeah. So I imagine that, you know, most therapists prior to doing private practice have probably worked in some kind of group practice scenario or something. So this may not be like a foreign idea completely, but um, just by way of kind of explaining things for someone that's not familiar with our clinical consult peer group, can you kind of talk about like what it is and how it works and your role in facilitating it?
Sure. So along with iTherapy in this process, we decided that we wanted this to be a place where private practice clinicians, everybody, our owners, I'm trying to think if any of the people who have been in a group over the last year have been part of a group practice. Some of them maybe have done their own private practice and then maybe are part of a group practice or even an agency on the side. So there's different setups that everybody has.
Mm-hmm.
But we decided we wanted it to be a place where iTherapy providers who were involved in a practice could come and have a safe place to talk about the work that they were doing. So we've set it up so it's all licensed providers, right? So it's not supervision. I don't in any way, shape, or form take responsibility for any of the clinical decisions or practice decisions that people are making. Everybody is just there. And really it's a peer format, right? I'm the facilitator, but it's not like I'm the one doing all the talking, right? We're all sharing our information, our experience. One of the really cool things has been the breadth of experience that the members bring to the table or to the screen, since we're doing it virtually. Right, we've got some brand new folks. We've got other folks besides me who have been doing this for 25 or 30 years. So there's such a wide range of experience and clinical areas of expertise that it just provides a really robust conversation every week or every month when we talk about the kinds of situations that we're talking about. So I set it up to be, I asked the members of the first group, and I think of the second group I did too, but the answers are always the same, right? We want a place where we can talk about clients without providing protected health information, but to talk about clients and to get feedback about the places where we're stuck. So people bring every month a client that they want to talk about, and I have some questions about this. I need help figuring out this piece of this work with this client. And then we try to leave some room in each group to talk about practice issues as well. So people indicated that that was important to them, that they wanted to have a place where they could ask questions and feel comfortable doing that about how do you network when you're an online therapy provider. Almost everybody is a convert to online therapy, right? Like they had a practice, an in-person practice before. So there have been lots of questions about how do we convert current clients to online clients? How do we get referrals? How do we network? And how do we advertise? And questions about billing and insurance and all of that sort of jazz. So I leave space for kind of what I call practice issues, whether it's how do you use the whiteboard in Theranos or in secure videos so that we can do that kind of work with our clients, to how do I bill, how do I create a form, those kinds of things. So the whole range of topics that we talk about.
That's fantastic. When that explanation of the practice issues is super cool. Can you kind of give me a little bit more insight into kind of some of the clinical issues that you guys might discuss and what that sort of looks like?
Yeah, so because everybody comes to the group with different levels of experience and different areas of expertise. So I was trained as a psychodynamic therapist, and while I have some knowledge and skills in some of the more cognitive-based therapies, like I'm an ACT practitioner, I often come at conceptualization from more of a psychodynamic perspective. So it comes to the group and it has questions about working with resistance for a client, for example. Others in the group might talk about some cognitive therapy approaches to dealing with resistance, but I'm going to come at it from a psychodynamic perspective, right? So it brings a little bit of a different flavor to the conversation, right? And I think what I really like to see is when the clinician who's brought the issue, right, like I have this client who's being really resistant and I don't know what to do about it. And we've tried this and I've tried that. And then they get 3 or 4 different kinds of ideas about what they could do to help move their work with the client along. And their eyes just get big and they get all excited, right? Oh, I never thought about that. That's a great idea. And I think that's one of the wonderful things about consultation, right? That you can get, and I do it, right? Like when I'm working with a client, I get kind of in my own head and in my own groove about the work. And sometimes talking about it with somebody else helps me get enough space from it to be able to see things a little bit differently. And then it kind of opens things up with the client, right? Sometimes I brought client situations to the group because I have questions about the work that I'm doing, and I'm a part of the group just like everybody else. So I've gotten some really great insight and great ideas about how to work with clients from a different perspective than I would normally have. So it's been really wonderful that way. And sometimes we talk about specific techniques, right? One of our members who's been in both rounds, both of the 6-month periods, is an EMDR practitioner. And so she will talk about EMDR sometimes. We've got some folks who are cognitive behavioral practitioners and they'll talk about those perspectives. So it's the conversation. There's never a lull in conversation, right? It's like we're searching for things to talk about.
Right. I bet. Yeah. It makes me think I think this is sort of a funny analogy. I am not a clinician. I have, worked with technology and done a lot of programming. So you can Google, and this is a thing, it's called rubber ducky programming, right? But the idea is if you get stuck, you can have like a rubber ducky and talk through kind of the problem where you're stuck with the rubber ducky, and just kind of that of speaking it out can be really helpful. I'm definitely seeing, parallels here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's talking it out, right? And getting feedback, the rubber ducky. I hope back to the person, but right here we get feedback in other people's ideas. And I think, like I had one member of the group a couple months ago say she wanted to talk about a client situation, and then we ran out of time talking about other client situations. So she said she was fine waiting until the next month. And then the next month when I went back to her to say, hey, did you want to talk about that client situation? She was like, no, just thinking about it after I brought it up in group last month made me realize that I needed to do something different with that client. So I don't need to talk about it anymore. And I was like, great, we didn't even talk about it. So.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
So we've been doing this for about a year now. And what kind of the format that we've had is that we have meetings twice a month, right?
Yes.
And we've sort of set it up where people commit to 6 months, because we wanted we wanted people to get involved and stick with it, because there's a little bit of extra value if you are kind of seeing the same person and the same group of people, and able to kind of have a degree of comfort with sharing.
Well, and I kind of thought, I really pushed for that when you and Nick and Carolyn Forrest and I talked about this, because I was concerned that members might be reluctant to share their struggles unless they felt like they really knew the other members of the group. And that I've let go of some of that a little bit, right? It seems to me like the members, even new members, the second round, pretty comfortable being open about what was going on. So maybe it's the people that are choosing to come to the group, right? They're already prepared to be open. And I think doing it under this new format where we're going to have people sign up for a month at a time, I think it's going to be okay. I think that that will work.
Yeah, and I think, like, you know, I would hope that there's a degree of comfort in, you know, knowing that everyone else is already a licensed clinician also, knowing that,
Yep.
you know, everyone's going to be kind of careful about the things that they share, and knowing you're all kind of experiencing the same sort of things. You know, you're all private practice owners or working for private practice. You're all eye therapy providers, you know. So there's certainly a lot of commonality that can
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
leads to some comfort.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're changing things starting in May, where we're not going to do the 6-month kind of commitment anymore. We're going to make it, because one of the sort of downfalls of having the 6-month commitment is if someone came in and was interested in this like 2 months into that 6th, then we kind of didn't have a great way to bring them on board, you know?
Right.
So what we're doing now is we're making this an extra service that's available for every eye therapy provider. This is something that you can sign up for if you find it valuable, and you can sort of add it to your subscription. When you do that, it'll be available for you on a month-to-month basis. You can choose, you know, we hope that you want to join and stick with it, right?
Right.
But, you know, if I don't know, maybe there's a particularly challenging case and you want to discuss it a little bit, and then you end up feeling like you got what you needed out of it, and you don't want to continue. Okay, you have that option, right? You will have that option now. You can add things into, you know, you can add this to your subscription, and you can control when you are removing it from your subscription. It'll be extra month. And what we will do is at the beginning of each month, starting in May, we'll give Carol here a list of everyone that wants to be involved in the clinical consult peer group. So, and Carol will reach out to each one of you and make sure that you know what to expect, and well, hopefully we kind of let you know what to expect beforehand, but still kind of talk with you and via email, and let you make sure that you can make at least one of the appointments, that sort of thing. And we'll let you know when those appointments are. Obviously, as you're kind of reading this video, we'll have that below probably, or watching the video. But anyway, yeah. So again, we'll give this list to Carol, and she'll work on having everyone in the group like each month, and it'll be something that you can add on to your service. And whenever you're watching this video, you can add the clinical consult group to your iTherapy subscription at the time that it makes most sense for you. You know, again, we think that this, I mean, we know that this is a great service, and we've priced things low so that we can make it accessible to you. Even again, if you have many years of experience, right, it can be something that's incredibly valuable for you. And we think that now, even more so in these coronavirus crazy times, it's nice to be able to connect with some people and talk. You know, I know that we're connecting with people all the time, especially clinicians, you know, in your sessions, but obviously it's different, right? It's different. So
yeah, I think one of the things that I hear over and over from the members of the group is how much they appreciate the opportunity to connect, and the isolation and loneliness that can come from being in private practice by yourself, particularly when you work from home. And so you're not even going to an office where there may be other clinicians in other offices that you see. So I think that is heightened. Right on the surface, nothing about my life has changed. I still see clients every day. I still don't have to go into town to do that. I feel a little isolated, right? Because I'm not going into town as much as I used to go into town, right? So I'm hopeful that right now, if folks are feeling particularly isolated or lonely or struggling with clients for whatever reason, because they're seeing more clients, they're seeing fewer clients, that we can help provide some support and encouragement around those issues.
Yeah, the other thing that I've been seeing on kind of Facebook groups and that sort of thing is some, you know, clinicians are feeling like basically all their clients are dealing with the same issue, and it's the global pandemic. So I bet that's something that will come up in your clinical consult peer group sessions as well.
Yeah. How do you, right?
How do you deal with that, and how do you kind of cope with it? You know?
Right. We're containing a lot of anxiety for folks. We're dealing with the same issues that our clients are dealing with, which is an unusual situation for clinicians, right?
Right.
Typically, if we have an issue in our own personal lives, we don't typically see clients who are also presenting with that issue. When my dad died 8 years ago, I didn't see anybody with grief issues until I had my own issues under control, right?
Right.
But now that's not really an option.
Yeah.
I have anxiety about the virus, just like my clients have anxiety about the virus. So one of the things that consultation can be really helpful with is helping you to figure out how to keep your own stuff out of your therapy work and
Yeah.
hold space for your clients, but also have a space where you can deal with your own stuff. So that's where I think the group's focus will be for the duration of this coronavirus crazy time.
Yeah. I'm going to patent that phrase.
You should. I'm going to use it in the future.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, I'm really happy to kind of be hopefully expanding this group a little bit, definitely trying to make it a little bit more accessible for all of our providers. I'm grateful for all the wonderful work you've been doing, and looking forward to that continuing.
Yeah.
Any other kind of thing that you want to share, Carol?
The only thing, and I'm assuming you would do this, but here's my permission to do it, share my email and let people know that if they have questions or they want to talk about whether or not it would be a good fit for them, I'm happy to talk with them, right? So we can set up a time to do that by email or do it by video or by phone, whatever works for them, to see if they want to give it a try.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, if this seems like something you might be interested in, I hope you'll join us. And it'll be very easy to do from my practice. So
Great.
thank you. Thank you, Carol.
You're very welcome, Nick. It was good to see you.